Carter calls for the destruction of Israel, and they often chant death to America as well. Coming up tonight, we'll bring you the very latest disruptive demonstrations from America's far left, N95-wearing Hamas supporters. And also tonight, two words: Hitler, pig. According to reports, this is what Biden staffers call Donald Trump. Now, these are the adults back in charge. I thought we were promised that dignity would finally be restored to 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue. Vivek Ramaswamy, he'll weigh in on that straight ahead. But first, Donald Trump back in court today. All 12 jurors plus one alternate were selected, but not before a lot of drama when two seated jurors were dismissed. One was let go over privacy concerns, another over a prior arrest, reportedly for tearing down right-leaning political advertisements. Whoops, had that person make it on the jury. And get this, one more potential juror who was not selected from the initial pool just appeared on MSDNC to roast Donald Trump's physical appearance. Wow, you can't make it up, only in New York City.
What happened? Why were you dismissed?
Because I couldn't be impartial.
You couldn't be impartial. So when the judge asked that hand, can you be impartial, you raised your hand and you said you cannot.
Exactly.
What was your impression of Donald Trump when you saw him?
You know, he looked less orange, definitely, like more yellows, like yellow. Nothing else than that. He looks, he doesn't look angry, or I think he looks bored, like he wants this to finish and go do his stuff.
Let's be very clear. This is a New York City jury pool, summoned from the voter rolls, where nearly 90% of all voters picked Joe Biden in 2020. Now, you really think that Donald Trump is able to get a fair and impartial jury in New York City? Look at this headline, quote, CNN analyst says Trump wouldn't be convicted in a non-blue area case relies on a known liar, Michael Cohen, quote unquote, from fake news CNN. And let's not forget, the judge is a devout Democrat who donated to Joe Biden. Now, the DA, meanwhile, raised money and campaigned on getting Donald Trump, and the charges he filed are totally, completely bogus, misdemeanors, well past the statute of limitations. This entire trial, 8 years later, is nothing but a sham. It is all designed not only to smear Donald Trump, but to take him off the campaign trail in the middle of an election and give an open field to every swing state to one guy and one guy only, and that's Joe Biden. Now, Donald Trump has been told he must be in court every day or he will be sent to jail in a city that doesn't even send violent people to jail. And while everyone else in the case is free to say anything they want about the case, Donald Trump has a gag order silencing him. And this week, as President Trump was sitting in court, Biden spent most of his time in the all-important battleground state of Pennsylvania. Although there's a big problem for Joe. The more he campaigns, the better Donald Trump looks. Because after 3 days of hitting the trail, yeah, Joe did not seem to be able or up to the job of being a greeter at Walmart. You know those nice people you meet at the door when you come in and you say, well, where's the sporting goods department or the electronics department? Oh, that's right over there, sir, right there. Thank you. Nicest people in the world. I don't think Joe could remember where the departments are. Anyway, much less president of the United States. But of course, we are getting a much different story from his campaign. They feel so good about Joe and his cognitive strength and how sharp he is that they put this laughable ad together. You can't make it up. From the Biden campaign. Watch.
I've been a proud steelworker for 23 years, and I know hard work when I see it. I love to tell the story about meeting President Biden because when you meet him, this guy's as sharp as a knife. They have nothing else to attack because they can't attack the things that he's doing that are so good for this country. I see people going back to work, jobs coming to the area, infrastructure being fixed up. Joe Biden gets things done.
Sharp as a knife. Let's see. How's his border policy working out? How is Bidenomics working out? How's his foreign policy working out with war in Europe and war in the Middle East? And, of course, Joe has basically emboldened terrorists, both the terror group Hamas and the terrorist state Iran. You sure about that? Anyway, here was Joe Biden today. He was at a Wawa in Philly. I've been to Wawa in Philly, struggling to close a takeout box and then getting quite confused while trying to order a simple milkshake. Poor Joe. Take a look.
Thank you so much.
It's been a pleasure.
Mr. President, I'm going to pick up a few pounds here.
And don't forget, we also included drinks for you as well, just to enjoy.
Excellent.
We can take that box.
You take that box?
Yeah.
I'm going to go order a milkshake.
Yeah.
I'm just going to order a milkshake.
Yeah, we'll be right back.
I thought you did it right there.
And it gets far worse. Here's Joe trying his best to give a rousing speech to a tiny crowd in Philly. Take a look.
The idea was we hold these truths to be self-evident. But all men and women are created equal in the image of God, deserve to be treated equally throughout their lives. By the way, all the stuff we've done so far, we've done it, and guess what? We've cut the budget by a lot of money, $172 billion so far. I see a future with a planet. We saved the planet, as this guy's busting his neck doing, from climate change. Literally. Climate crisis in America. Are you ready to choose freedom over democracy? Because that's America.
Mumbling, bumbling, stumbling, a lot of times not making sense. Can you decipher every word he's saying? Well, at least, and I've got to give him credit, he didn't tell the Uncle Bozy cannibalism story again. In case you missed it, well, yesterday Biden told the world that his uncle was eaten by Pacific Islanders, bones and all. Take a look.
And my uncle, they called him Ambrose Brosey, they called him Bozy. My Uncle Bozy was a hell of an athlete, they tell me, when he was a kid. And he became an Army Air Corps before the Air Force came along. He flew those single-engine planes as reconnaissance over war zones. He got shot down in New Guinea, and they never found the body because there used to be, there were a lot of cannibals for real in that part of New Guinea.
Yeah, for real. Well, turns out for real, Biden's uncle did tragically die after his plane's engines failed, but he wasn't eaten by cannibals. He drowned in the Pacific. There's no reason to lie and make up a story, but Joe simply cannot help himself. Now, with his mind clearly deteriorating at a accelerated rate, his own tall tales are among the only things he's able to talk about extemporaneously. Everything else requires a note card, a teleprompter, large font, and lots of guidance from his staff, like when to pause. It says pause, when to say hello, when to say goodbye, where to sit, what type of ice cream he will get if he's a good little president. Biden is a lot of things at this point in his life, but sharp as a knife isn't exactly one of them. In fact, Joe has never been regarded as sharp as a knife his entire career. Serial plagiarizer who cheated in law school, still finished near the bottom of his class. A short time later, he became a very mediocre senator from Delaware who made friends with, let's see, a former Klansman, towed the party line no matter what, even if that meant working with segregationists to stop the integration of public schools or at least slow it down. He didn't want public schools, in his words, to become racial jungles. And now he's in empty suit wearing maximum stability sneakers, who does basically whatever his radical staff is telling him to do. They tell him what to read, what to say, where to go, where to stand, where to sit, and when to walk away from the press, which is always. And this is why Donald Trump, sitting in a courtroom, as unfair as that is, well, Biden, can't win on his own. He needs all the help he can get, even if that does mean burning down America's system of justice in the process. Anyway, joining us with more, Fox News contributor Jonathan Turley. There's a lot to digest here. Let's start with the obvious news today of jury selection. A couple of things I find pretty disturbing in this process. It's certainly not a fair venue, not a jury pool that any conservative, Republican, or anybody with the last name Trump would ever want. I still believe he cannot get a fair trial in New York. What are your initial thoughts of the trial?
Well, Sean, I always remain hopeful with jurors because people do take this seriously. The average person really does want to put bias aside. The problem is that you have highly motivated people in New York, and some of them, I think, could very well lie on the stand and not disclose their bias. The hatred towards Trump is that great that it can overwhelm even an oath taken to speak truthfully. And you have a host on another network encouraging jurors to lie. You've got people on other networks just relishing the chance that people will hide this bias. I mean, these people make the French Revolution look like an ABA convention. And, you know, the problem here is that when you use the law in this way, it doesn't protect you any more than it does your enemies today. Tomorrow, you could be the next target. That's the way history has always played out. Today's revolutionaries are treated as tomorrow's reactionaries. And I think that people are taking a very short-sighted view when they're encouraging jurors to lie and hoping that they'll just convict because he's Trump. You know, what they're losing is a system that doesn't just protect Trump, of course, it protects them.
Yeah. Let me go back to the fundamentals of this case. You have a judge. Okay, he's a Democrat. No problem. But he did donate to the Biden campaign in 2020. Then we have the issue of recusal, and that has to do with his daughter and what she does for a living. I would say that is 6 cases removed for sure if you look at New York state law. I want to get your thoughts on that. But then you look at this case, the statute of limitations have run out. And these would be misdemeanor crimes in New York. And somehow magically, D.A. Bragg was able to turn them into felonies by somehow melding them into federal election law. I'm not so sure that in and of itself has a legal basis. I'd like your thoughts on that. And then the whole case will hinge on one guy for the most part, maybe 2. Certainly Michael Cohen is going to be their star witness. He's had issues involving the truth in the past. Stormy Daniels signed a document denying that they ever had a sexual relationship of any kind. She signed that in January of 2018. She said it was people asked about it in 2006, 7, 11, 15, 16, and the answer is still the same. It never happened. So how does this all play out when you look at how can anyone look at that environment and think that's a fair venue for Donald Trump?
Well, I think that's, of course, a problem. I think many people in the public see this case for what it is, which is political use of the legal system. Bragg is counting on many of these jurors, if not all of them, ending their analysis once they see who's behind the defense table, that he's counting on the fact there will be no presumption of innocence here because this is a juror pool that voted almost unanimously against Trump. When you're down to just 12%, you're getting to a statistically difficult point to come up with a fair jury. Does that mean that they can't be fair? No, but no one's betting on acquittal in New York. The question is whether you're going to have a couple of jurors that have that confidence to stand their ground. That's, if I was a defense counsel, that's what I'd be looking for. Someone who may not like Trump, but seems to be the type of person that is independent. It takes a lot in that jury room to stand against people who may have bias. But can that happen? Yes, it can. And the question now is, what is this judge going to do? One of my greatest complaints about this judge is that many of us who have been following this trial still don't know what Bragg's theory is. His indictment does not make clear what is the crime that Trump was trying to hide. The feds didn't view this payment as a federal election crime. And so Bragg just sort of brushed over that. This judge has not seen fit to really hold his feet to the fire and say, let's be clear here. The defendant should know with certainty what is your theory about why he wrote down that this was a legal expense. The judge is not doing that thus far.
And Joe Biden is out on the campaign trail, and Donald Trump will spend the next 4 to 6 weeks in a courtroom, or else he's threatened with jail. And as of today, we're 200 days away from Election Day. at some point, you would think reason would prevail, but I don't see that happening here. Professor Jonathan Turley, thank you, sir. All right, now last night we showed you a clip from my next guest who has a message for the Democratic Party. Here's a reminder.
It's much ado about nothing. To my liberal friends out there, all you're doing is showing that you're scared you can't beat them on the issues and the merits.
Here now with more. ESPN host, the one, the only, he hates to admit he's a friend of mine. You can admit it. Just say it. My friend Stephen A. Smith is here.
Of course we're
I'll
friends,
be asked
man.
Anyway, great to have you. I thought that was gutsy. I kind of like your podcast because you go off into, other topics besides the area of expertise that you're in, which is sports. You said that. First, the question I have is, what was the reaction to that?
Obviously, I took a lot of heat. A lot of people didn't like the fact that I said it. They wish that I had it. And when I give a damn, I'll let you know. I don't care. I'm going to speak my mind. I'm going to speak what I believe to be true. And when I think about Donald Trump, I think about this case in New York. I mean, I'm looking at the Democrats right now. And again, primarily, I have voted Democrat throughout my life, but I'm utterly disgusted with what I'm seeing because it seems to me that they're trying to use the law in the courts. They've clearly politicized this thing with Donald Trump because they can't come up with a strategy to offset the momentum he's clearly gained. In at least 5 polls, he's up. He's up in the polls over Biden in at least 5 polls that I counted. That's the reality of the situation. Despite the counts against them, the indictments against them, being impeached twice and all of this other stuff, he is the presumptive GOP nominee. And you don't seem to have the issues in your favor, you believe. So because of that, you're going to manipulate the system as best as you possibly can to avoid him possibly running for re-election again. That appears to be their strategy, but I'm here to tell you, it's not working. It's not working at all, and to be quite honest with you, I don't mind the fact that it's not working, because I might not be a supporter of Donald Trump, but I want him to lose the right way. I want him to lose because you have better ideas, and you make your case to the American people better than he does. That's why I want him to lose. I don't want him to lose the way they're trying to make him lose, because I actually think that the case in New York City is pretty weak, if not flat out bogus. Have you remembered John Edwards? Have you remembered Gary Hart? Have you remembered some of the things that Clinton has gone through? Now we're going to talk about a hush money case that took place while he was running for election in 2016, but he was in office until 2020, and now here you are in 2024, months before another election, that he's the presumptive GOP nominee, and this is what you're trying to do. It's a disgrace. It's weak. It's pathetic. And somebody needs to say it. The Democrats need to come up with a better strategy, because this ain't working.
Let me ask you this. We look at polls. Polls are always broken down demographically, and you see this major erosion in the Democratic base for Biden. African Americans, Hispanic Americans, young people, suburban women, for example. I mean, numbers that we've never seen before. In terms of a Democrat. If he doesn't get his base back, which I would argue he's been trying to do, starting with the State of the Union and his jacked up address, he's got no shot. And if Donald Trump can hold on to 5, 10, 15% of the numbers that he has now, he will win the next election. Why is that happening? That's my question.
Well, first of all, the streets don't seem safe, and people want safety. We can sit up there and lament, quote unquote, law and order, which is what Donald Trump used to verbalize. But the fact is, the American people like law and order. We want our streets safe. We want to make sure that you've committed a crime, you get to go to jail. You don't sit up there and get arrested and you're out the same day. You don't want to assault people and you're out the same day. That's number one. Obviously, number two, the economy, which is usually number one, because people don't understand this when it comes, especially the black folks. Okay, let me tell you something right now, Sean. When you talk about the economy, to black folks, that means money. To everybody, it means money, but especially to us, okay, who are no longer the dominant minority in this country. Those are the Latinos. When we talk about the economy, we're not talking about, the state of affairs economically, or even the job participation rate. We're talking about the money that you keep in your pocket. When you go to the gas station and it's exorbitant prices, when you go to the supermarket and milk and bread and cheese and all of this other stuff is exorbitantly high compared to what it once was, that is a red flag to a lot of folks, because the money you keep in your pocket is what tells you whether or not the economy is flourishing or not. So those are just a couple of components that come into the equation. And dare I say something that will probably be termed the most uncomfortable thing that I've ever had to articulate out of my mouth from a political perspective. But I got to tell you something. As much as people may have been abhorred by Donald Trump's statement weeks ago, talking about how black folks, he's hearing that black folks find him relatable because what he's going through is similar to what black Americans have gone through, he wasn't lying. He was telling the truth. When you see the law enforcement, the court system, and everything else being exercised against him, it is something that black folks throughout this nation can relate to with some of our historic, iconic figures. We've seen that happen throughout society. So no matter what race, what ethnicity you may emanate from, we relate to you when you're suffering like that because we know we have. And that's what he articulated. As unpopular as it was, as much as we didn't like to hear it, it's the truth, and there's no way around it. Those are all contributing factors to the state of affairs with the slippage that appears to be taking fold when it comes to President Biden, unfortunately.
You're talking about racial disparity in our justice system. And you know what, Stephen A.? There has been. You're 1,000% right. Now, just for the record, when I was on your podcast, you're like, Hannity, you don't even take a breath. You don't even let me ask a question. I let you answer in full tonight. I just want that for the record so that you remember the next time we have a conversation.
It's a miracle.
A miracle.
It's a miracle. And miracle. Remember, I brought you on when I was on audio. I didn't bring you on when we was on video. I'm going to bring you on.
America. I got good news.
America is united. The #1 movie in America is Civil War.
What kind of American are you?
It's the movie event of the year. Civil War. Rated R.
Remember when I said we need to screen for colon cancer?
Was that after I texted the age to screen was now 45? Because I said Cologuard.
Hey there.
Where did he come from?
Yep, with me, you can screen at home. Just talk to your provider. We'll screen with Cologuard. And do it my way.
Cologuard is a one-of-a-kind way to screen for colon cancer that's effective and non-invasive. It's for people 45 plus at average risk, not high risk. False positive and negative results may occur.
Ask your provider for me. Cologuard.
No.
No.
Yes.
Oh, yeah.
Yes. Isn't this great?
Yeah! Yeah. I can do a cartwheel in here.
Oh, hey! Would you like to join us? No. We would love to join you.
For gentle, dependable constipation relief, try Senecot. It works differently than other laxatives because it's made from the senna plant, a natural vegetable laxative ingredient. Gentle, dependable Senecot. Also available in delicious gummies.
From the #1 rated brand in cordless outdoor power, the Ego zero-turn riding mower with E-steer technology drives like a car, turns on a dime. And it cuts up to 2.5 acres on a single charge. Exclusively Lowe's, Ace, and Ego authorized dealers.
This is my father, Bob.
This is my daughter, Lisa.
And we love Balance of Nature. Don't you?
You think I'm going to say no to her? Balance of Nature is a very good product. It's simple application, a simple thing to take.
It's fruits and veggie in a capsule.
That's it. Balance of Nature has helped me get along very well.
Get 35% off and $10 off any additional sets by using discount code Fox News.
There's some kind of misunderstanding. You're American. What kind of American are you? You don't know?
Civil War. Rated R.
Oscar De La Hoya live on Primetime. The former boxer weighs in on how to train like a champion and keys to success everyone should know. Jesse has the can't miss interview tomorrow.
Gemstone product I find very versatile, very affordable, very clean install to get the same finished look of a stone product. I think it's a fantastic product, and I don't see us going back to the traditional stone method anytime soon.
Gemstone is DIY friendly, goes from box to the wall in minutes, and can be used for any project inside or out. Like this fireplace, this entry, this chimney, or this complete home transformation?
Gemstone was really easy to cut. We're looking at doing the exterior of the house.
Text STONE to 59583 to see more Gemstone projects.
It's lightweight and it's durable. It cuts so easy that even an old guy like me can do it. We can all do it. This is not a skilled tradesman job.
Text STONE to 59583 to get your discount code and save up to 50% over real stone.
It's time to take back your garage. With space-saving solutions that keep your floors clear and your gear organized. Lockers, workstations, tool storage, and rugged flooring that's easy to install. And modular steel cabinetry that lets you customize your storage to your needs. Get more from your garage with New Age products.
All right, at this hour, we are now monitoring very, very closely right now for a possible Israeli response to the attack by Iran last week. We are hearing a lot of chatter on the internet. We are trying to get confirmation as to whether or not this is accurate or not. As soon as we have that news, if we have confirmation of anything, we will switch gears. And Politico is reporting a shocking nickname for former President Donald Trump, apparently that is now widely used by Joe Biden's junior staffers, Hitler Pig. Really. So while Joe Biden claims to run a campaign based on so-called decency, his staff now allegedly calling his opponent Hitler Pig. But thankfully, the American people, they're seeing through Biden's many, many lies. All the latest polling, good news for Donald Trump, including our brand new Fox News poll showing Trump leading in the swing states of Michigan and Arizona and Georgia, while the race is even in Pennsylvania and Wisconsin. Another poll out of Wisconsin tonight had Donald Trump up by 2. The Harvard Youth poll showing Biden's lead among young voters is now down 15 points from this time in 2020. A new nationwide Emerson poll has Trump leading by 3 or 4 points, depending on whether or not third-party candidates are included. Now Biden is clearly concerned about those third-party candidates cutting into his support. Today in Philadelphia, he held an event to receive endorsements from the Kennedy family amid RFK Jr.'s independent run. Here with reaction is former 2020 Republican presidential candidate Vivek Ramaswamy. Let's get your reaction to the polls. I've always said, Vivek, that Donald Trump defies all conventional political gravity, because as the harder they attack him, and people can see how are witnessing right before their eyes the unfairness unfolding in that courtroom in New York. It seems that it is not impacting the American people at all. It is having the opposite effect, and they've pretty much done the impossible. They've taken that strong public figure, Donald Trump, and have pretty much turned him into a victim of a weaponized system of justice. Your reaction?
Well, my reaction is the people of this country are seeing through Biden's hypocrisy. On one hand, he campaigned on bringing decency to politics. On the other hand, his people are now invoking Hitler to compare Donald Trump to him. He said he was going to turn down the temperature in American politics. Yet now we see the Democratic Party effectively leading multiple prosecutions against the lead opponent in the middle of an election. So I think we're seeing through that hypocrisy. And every one of these prosecutions, I think, Sean, is backfiring. People are sick and tired of being lied to. They're sick and tired of the lawfare. I actually talked to many Democrats who disagree with Donald Trump on many policies, but believe that we're not a country where you're supposed to use the prosecutorial power to eliminate your opponents. So I think many independents and many Democrats are actually coming along. And you know what? They know if you can do it to Trump today, they can do it to them tomorrow. And we need to put an end to that and restore the rule of law in this country and clean up that weaponization of government. And I think that's a message that many independents are rallying behind. And I think it's going to work in Donald Trump's favor, and that's for the better of our country.
You know, a couple of things I'll say about Robert F. Kennedy Jr. When I interviewed him, I liked him. I don't agree with him, but I thought he was sincere. I think he's been treated horribly by the Democrats. Now his own family is turning against him. And, you know, the effort to smear him is coming really from within his own party. And I find that very interesting. And I really think it's wrong that the fact that his uncle and his father were assassinated, and he is a viable candidate, that Joe Biden will not allow the Secret Service protection that I would argue he deserves. Do you agree?
Look, I agree with that, and I also agree with the Democratic Party effectively not tolerating any dissent. He actually started as a Democrat, ended up running as an independent. I disagree with him on a lot of things when it comes to policy, from Second Amendment rights to climate change policies. We disagree on the substance of a lot of things. But I respect somebody who can still call out that weaponization of government and stand for free speech and open debate in this country. And there's something not only Robert F. Kennedy, but many independents in this country stand for. I think we need 2 sets of mass deportations in this country, Sean. And Donald Trump stands for both of them. One is the mass deportation of illegals who are in this country. We need to deport millions of them. But we also need to deport millions of federal bureaucrats out of that Washington, D.C. bureaucracy. And I think there's one candidate who's positioned to deliver that. That's Donald Trump. And I think that we can make sure as a country that that second term is even more successful than the successful first term. That's where I think we're headed. I'm hopeful for a landslide victory that unites this country, and that's what we need to fight for.
It looks like Kennedy, I think, has a good shot in getting on the ballot in all 50 states. But he supported Bernie Sanders' climate plan to curb fossil fuel extraction, Obama's decision to cancel a fossil fuel auction, hashtag keep it in the ground, a common theme of his, or the decision to ban fossil fuel extraction in San Francisco and Maryland's ban on fracking, et cetera, calling the NRA a terror group, supporting the Paris Climate Agreement that classifies China and India as developing nations. He supports affirmative action. He wants, for example, he believes in this reimagining the police, incentivizing them, et cetera, and, you know, once called Louis Farrakhan a truly great partner. He seems to take on all of the radical positions of the new Green Deal Democrats. However, why has he been treated so poorly by his fellow Democrats?
Well, as I said, Sean, I disagree with RFK Jr. on a lot of subjects. I think I would not vote for him for U.S. president for all range of policy disagreements. That being said, I think he's speaking the truth on certain hard subjects that the Democratic Party views as untouchable third rails, from the reality of COVID policies in this country to government tech censorship. But the reality is there's one right answer to that question. We need Donald Trump to have a second term, and we need to take that America First agenda to the next level, ending the collusion between big tech and government actors to be able to censor speech through the back door, restore the principles this country was founded on. That's how we're going to win.
All right, Vivek Ramaswamy, as always, thank you for being with us. When we come back, the anti-Israel agitators illegally occupying Columbia University, they were rounded up. They were arrested by the NYPD earlier today. You're not going to believe who was one of the students. We'll explain that. And we are watching possible events in the Middle East tonight very closely. A lot of internet chatter. We've not been able to confirm a thing. We're watching.
I wrote a song. Thought maybe we could ask for an audition.
Let's take it one step at a time.
She's a special one, son. They are the way.
Whatever your dream is, I know you can achieve it.
Unsung Hero, rated PG.
Sean Combs built a hip-hop empire.
Diddy was the big... Get going.
That's when this house of cards starts collapsing. More people came forward alleging different kinds of abuse.
I do think you can make parallels of Epstein. Is the bad boy's reign coming to an end?
When he falls, it's going to be so hard that everything around him is going to fall into that hole with him.
Israel is under attack.
Israel has been attacked like never before. Our skies are filled with rockets and drones. The International Fellowship of Christians and Jews urgently needs your help to send out emergency teams across the Holy Land.
The International Fellowship of Christians and Jews needs your $45 gift to rush emergency aid to the people of Israel who are still devastated from the massacres of October 7th.
We are bringing food. We are bringing emergency resources to save lives. But we can't do it alone. We need you to stand with Israel now.
With terrorist attacks across every part of Israel, tens of thousands of families desperately need emergency life-saving aid to
bring it on.
But with WeatherTech's heavy-duty impact miner, you can safeguard the bed while throwing almost anything at it. The underside features an innovative solution. Shock-absorbing rings disperse the impact of hauling, dropping, or dragging. Get impact liner from WeatherTech. For even more protection, add these premium American-made products. Order today at WT.com.
This is a call to all my fellow Americans to stand up, fired up, and will not let up. You're the ones this country needs. At Pure Talk, we'll give you a voice, along with unlimited talk and wireless company. Call Pure Talk to get 50% off your first month. This is your calling. It's time to answer.
I take Balance of Nature because it makes me feel great. I really thought that they paid people to say that stuff. And then I tried it. I was surprised. Balance of Nature really was the game changer. I'm serious, it works.
Go to balanceofnature.com and get 35% off plus $10 off any additional sets with your first order as a preferred customer by using discount code Fox News.
Even space-age technology can't prevent accidents at work. So talk to your agent about workers' comp insurance from Pi or visit piinsurance.com. Safety first, then Pi Insurance.
When you can't watch, listen. Get the latest news, business, and news headlines on SiriusXM. Anytime, anywhere. Fox News Audio on SiriusXM. America is listening.
Now, earlier today, NYPD officers began removing zip-tied pro-Hamas protesters from Columbia University's campus after more than a day of vile protests, which included chants of support for the terrorist group Hamas. That's right, the ones that want to wipe Israel off the map, the ones that chant death to America, death to Israel. Take a look.
We are Hamas!
Yeah, you're Hamas. Wow. That's a good one. You're what? You're Hamas?
Yes, we're all Hamas, pig! I'm Hamas! Get our face now!
Welcome to the friendly city of New York. I'm glad I got out of there. Anyway, one of the students involved in the protest, who has now been suspended from Bernard College, is the daughter of Radical Squad member Congresswoman Omar, who herself has come under fire in the past for anti-Semitic comments. And tonight, by the way, law enforcement sources, they are telling Fox News that Congresswoman Omar's daughter is now in police custody. Alexis McAdams is outside one police plaza in New York City, where a crowd has gathered to wait and to cheer those arrested and those that will be released. No bail laws in New York. Alexis, what's the latest?
Hey, Sean, well, I'm going to show you what's going on here outside of the NYPD headquarters. We're going to walk you a little bit closer here. You can see this crowd. They're excited because these are some of those Columbia students that have just been released from police custody. People leaving here after they were charged with trespassing, including, as you mentioned, Congressman Ilhan Omar's daughter. We're going to walk also a little bit closer this way so you can see the NYPD here on high alert as more students continue to be released. We know that more than 100 were charged here, but we did check in with a student a short time ago who says they were peaceful out there in that campus, but blame the NYPD in Columbia for being violent. Watch.
We came together peacefully to assemble with love and with prayer and with respect for all human beings for the freedom of Palestine. And Columbia University has responded with violence through the use of the NYPD.
Now more than 100 students were taken into custody today, Sean. You can see them walking here and getting off those buses, and then also out here live in front of the police department. They had zip ties around their wrists earlier. We know 108 students did get hit with trespassing charges after police say they really just wouldn't leave the campus for more than 30 hours and counting. Also setting up tents and shelters, even temporary bathrooms, because they weren't planning on going anywhere. The school asking officers to come in and remove them because they didn't have any success. Tonight, the group applauding as those students were released from custody, as you just saw. You can see the student leaving here. She was identified by friends as Elon Omar's daughter, who was suspended from Barnard for her involvement in anti-Israel protests, hit with trespassing charges here in New York. They all plan to get back onto the streets, though, and support the Palestinian people. Watch. Now, earlier tonight, the mayor of New York City, when he asked him about these protests and what was going on at Columbia, said the comments that some of these students made, Sean, to NYPD officers were, quote, vile. He said it should be a teaching moment for these campuses across the country when it comes to these pro-Palestinian protests, saying they have a right to be out there, but they don't have a right to be disrespectful or cause problems. Sean.
All right, Alexis, thank you. We appreciate it. Joining us now with reaction is the executive director of the Lawfare Project, Brooke Goldstein, and Harvard law professor Alan Dershowitz. Brooke, let me start with you. Now, from the river to the sea basically means wipe Israel off the map. The Colombia president won't call this, has no problem with this being chanted. She said, well, I wish it wasn't, but she's not going to stop it on her campus. I thought these campuses were woke. You have professors at Columbia. I can name a number of them. For example, one, Joseph Masada, was in the New York Post today, tenured academic, called came in for him to be fired after the October 7th attack, killing 1,200, and of course hundreds taken hostage. And he said it was an awesome, stunning victory of the Palestinian resistance, the sight of Palestinian resistance fighters storming Israel checkpoints, separating Gaza from Israel was astounding. He penned an 1,800-word essay published 24 hours. I have professor after professor after professor, and you have a president of this Ivy League institution that literally doesn't have a problem calling for the annihilation of the entire state of Israel. That's okay in an Ivy League environment in this woke and PC era, really?
No, it's not okay. And that's exactly why the Lawfare Project is suing Columbia University for its zero consequence policy for pro-terror and for the harassment, the unlawful harassment of its Jewish students. But I think, Sean, it is so important to look at this from a macro perspective, because this is not about Israel-Hamas. Israel is a decoy. The problem we are facing is so subversive, it's so deep, that we need to take a look at what's going on. We have the Biden administration paying Iran billions of dollars to murder Americans and to kill Israelis. We have the same administration turning a blind eye to the billions of dollars coming into this country from Qatar, radicalizing our students. We have the same administration telling the Department of Education and the Office of Civil Rights to drag its feet when it comes to enforcing Title VI of the Civil Rights Act. We have an outstanding complaint against Columbia University from 2009. We have our borders being flooded, possibly by Hezbollah. We have radicalization on our streets. This is a huge problem. And unless there is a course corrector here, we are facing implosion. And that is why we have been taken to the streets. The End Jew Hatred movement, which I am a proud founder of, had a solidarity rally of over 250 people outside Columbia University, because we are going to take back the streets. We are going to take back America, because we love this country, and we will not allow it to be ruined by hatred and anti-Semitism and terrorism and terror support.
Professor, rabid, vile, virulent anti-Semitism on college campuses, in the halls of Congress, all throughout Europe, Australia, gas the Jews, F the Jews. I never thought in my lifetime, we've known each other a long time, one issue we never disagreed on was the issue of Israel. I never thought I'd hear this type of rhetoric in my life, especially after what happened in World War II and Nazi Germany. And I don't use that analogy lightly.
I agree.
But it sounds just like it.
This is not pro-Palestine. This is not pro-Palestine. This is pro-Hamas, which is anti-Palestine. The worst enemy that the Palestinian people have is Hamas. These kids are Hitler Youth. These are the same kind of people who brought Hitler to power in 1933, Castro to power, Pol Pot to power, Mao Zedong to power. Just because they're young doesn't mean they're not extremely, extremely dangerous. What they're doing is providing aid to a terrorist organization. Can you imagine a university allowing people to have a parallel chant to "From the River to the Sea"? Imagine them saying, "From the Atlantic to the Indian Ocean, South Africa will be free of blacks, and let's return South Africa to white apartheid rule." Not a single student would be allowed to stay at the university. Or what if students said, "We are the KKK"? What if a group of white supremacists said, "We are the KKK"? This is not about freedom of speech. This is about a double standard. The diversity, equity, and inclusion bureaucracy is the incubator for anti-Semitism at every major university in the United States. And as long as we maintain the DEI intersectionality, we're not getting to the heart of the problem. It is destroying American universities. It is fomenting anti-Semitism. It's fomenting anti-Americanism. Scratch an anti-Israeli, scratch an anti-Semite, and you find an anti-American. That's why these people are chanting "Death to America." This is anti-American. This is subversive. This is an attempt to really overthrow the government of the United States.
It's pretty scary times. Thank you both. Straight ahead, Chicago residents fed up with their mayor's spending spree on illegal immigration.
The #1 movie in America is Civil War.
What kind of American are you?
It's the movie event of the year. Civil War. Rated R.
Your best days of the year start here at Kubota Orange Days. It's the year's biggest selection of Kubota tractors, zero-turn mowers, and utility vehicles, including the #1 selling compact tractor in the USA. Plus the year's best deals, like 0% APR for 84 months or up to $3,300 off select compact tractors. Orange goes all day. Sales ending soon. Visit your local dealer today. Find your nearest dealer at KubotaOrangeDays.com.
How do you apply a whole body deodorant? I will demonstrate. Take a pea-sized amount. Apply it like a lotion. Pits, under boob, thigh folds, butt cracks, feet. This water-based cream, I'm telling you, it's invisible on the skin. It works like a dream.
Men, how many bathroom trips are you making each day? Try Super Beta Prostate Advanced, the #1 selling formula in its category. Made with Prostafend, a triple action blend to help reduce urges to urinate. Find it at Walmart or these retailers.
Do you need more space? You need a General Steel building system. Text BIG to 59583 to start designing your customized space. That's BIG to 59583 for same-day pricing on your personalized steel building system. Text BIG to 59583 before prices go up.
Hey everybody, I'm Forbes Riley. I am thrilled that I found Blue Stop Max. See, their specialized formula helps provide fast and soothing relief for both your joints and muscles. It's perfect for everyday aches and discomfort. So find Blue Stop Max at a retailer near you.
Rise up this morning, smile with the rising sun.
Discover our newest resort, Sandals St. Vincent and the Grenadines, now open. Visit sandals.com or call 1-800-SANDALS.
Have you noticed more bruising as you age? You're not alone. Now you can help improve the appearance of bruises with Dermen Moisturizing Bruise Formula. Help your bruised skin. Find Dermen Moisturizing Bruise Formula now in the first aid aisle.
There's some kind of misunderstanding. You're American. What kind of American are you? You don't know?
Civil War. Rated R.
$70 million in funding for Chicago's migrants?
You're putting our lives at risk by doing what you're doing.
Hear from one citizen fighting back tomorrow on Fox and Friends.
It starts with a grill, but it becomes so much more. An extension of your home. Not just a weekend retreat, but an everyday getaway right in your backyard. New Age makes it possible with beautiful all-weather cabinetry, grills, and appliances that transform your backyard into a complete outdoor kitchen. Visit newageproducts.com to book a free design consultation and create the outdoor living space you've always wanted.
This is a Shell Energy 100% renewable electricity plan, lighting every soccer match at Shell Energy Stadium. We're moving forward with the Houston Dash because we're moving forward with everybody. Shell, powering progress.
Why are Force Factor vitamins so popular at Walmart? Force Factor uses the highest quality ingredients to deliver powerful, healthy results from delicious and convenient supplements. That's why friends and family recommend Force Factor. Rush to Walmart and unleash your potential with Force Factor.
Hi, I'm Jay Jackson. For almost 20 years, Abacus Life has been purchasing life insurance policies from seniors. And in just seconds, you can use the free calculator at abacuspays.com to learn what your policy might be worth.
For many of my clients, selling their life insurance to Abacus was right for them and their estate plan.
Don't sell or lapse your policy without going to abacuspays.com first. There are no fees and no obligations. Get the real value from your life insurance when you need it with Abacus.
All right, voters in Chicago, by the way, rallied together at a city council meeting on Wednesday to protest Mayor Johnson's proposal to give a whopping $70 million taxpayer dollars to illegal immigrants. Now, Chicago has already spent millions on the illegals that are wreaking havoc in the city. Between the migrant crisis and brazen crime, residents, they're fed up. Here's what they had to say at last night's meeting. Take a look.
Our city government, now that I understand, has basically turned their back on black Chicagoans.
We need that money in my neighborhood. We need that on my block to align yourself with somebody who's obviously a one-term mayor. If he even makes it that far, you better be worrying about your job.
All right, here with Reaction Hoover Institution senior fellow Victor Davis Hanson is with us. You know, I read your column about what might be in favor of Joe Biden this election season and what might work against him. And as you look at it through the prism, for example, of this town hall, you know, maybe explain it to people.
Well, I think what we're watching is a historic change, really, in the political parties. This issue of an open border is an elite issue. The elites want it. They think they want 10 million constituents or bodies, basically, for big government and changing congressional districts, but the people don't want it, and they're trying to force it down their throat, just like the transgender issue, just like the climate change, just like the no bail. And the people who suffer are their supposed constituents. For every person that comes across that border, they're going to lose, if it's 10 million, they're going to lose 50.